Good evening, everybody. My name is Valentina Cardas, and today we will be going over chapters 13, 14, and 15, which is choice of business and limited liability entities and corporations. And as you can tell from the link below, we will be going over a Forbes article today. Now, just before we go over the Forbes article and the importance of it, we will be going over a little bit of the agenda. So on the left-hand side, you can see the discussion topics, and we will be discussing any sort of benefits, relations, we'll be going over business entities and exactly what they are, and so on and so forth. Some key messages that I do want to point out is that there are up to 5 business entities. We also will be going over the difference between LLC and corporation, and lastly, some of corporate's benefits, and not only corporate but other business entities along the spectrum. And then some takeaways is that businesses can have many forms of operations, and we'll kind of go over that as well. Also, an individual can own a business and they can still benefit from a corporate kind of level. So, for example, the benefits that corporate has, these individual owners can also benefit from that as well. So let's go over our article overview. Now we're going to go over the importance of partnership and what exactly these two companies did and how they benefited from their partnership. So we're going to go over some ethical values from this article that this article is portraying. So anything along the lines like integrity, respect, compassion, loyalty, etc. We're also going to go over how partnership benefits from the company's ethical values. So how they use that to their advantage, per se. Also, what advantages does the partnering corporations carry? And, they typically say two brains are better than one. So this is definitely something that will take away from these two companies working together and why it's so important. You may be thinking what kind of ethical values they portray in this article. I would say that one of them is natural environment. So they kind of go over the, the global recyclable cups, straws, utensils. Now, as you can see on here, I did put plastic straws and utensils ban. Now, this is based off Seattle. They recently came up with a ban of not using plastic straws and utensils, or I'm sorry, of using plastic straws and utensils. And then we'll kind of steam over that just to kind of see where our head's at with the article after our review. And then compassion would be another one, an ethical value. So basically speaking about the natural causes and how it's being destroyed because of this, and how exactly they're trying to reduce toxic waste from being, brought up into our atmosphere or our environment. They'll come up with some solutions. And again, since these are two big corporations, many other corporations will follow along and will kind of do the same thing. So definitely persuading and emphasizing the message. You may be thinking, what companies are they? And of course, it is the McDonald's partnering with Starbucks. Now, these are non-profit corporations working together. And as everyone knows, that McDonald's has the Ronald McDonald House charity. And for those who don't know, it's basically a charity that is an independent American nonprofit organization. And basically, they support any families that have sick children. So, for example, what it is that they actually do is they provide a grant stay near a hotel, near a hospital, or close inside the hospital. Because there are hospitals where they have hotels inside for those who are in need to be close with their families. So that's definitely something that they grant to those families. And then also Starbucks, they have the Starbucks Foundation. So they support thriving communities through grants to nonprofit organizations from coffee and tea growing communities around the world to our hometown in Seattle and neighborhoods across the country. So that is based and stated by Starbucks on their website. And basically, they give out grants to those in need, specifically to their employees, which is actually a really good benefit for college students like us, because they do give out grants for those who are in college or universities. So we're gonna go over the illustration review and kind of what it has to do with business and how exactly, the statistics are. So on the left-hand side of the screen, we have the Ronald McDonald House Charity. And basically, this was for the year of 2020, which was a tough year for all of us, but they still managed to give out a little bit over 80% of their profits to those in need and for important things, some, nonprofit um, organizations as well as charity and other things towards the company. And then also on the right-hand side, you'll see Starbucks. So they donated $5 million. This is invested in national nonprofits serving BIPOC youth. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And also they granted 1,350 grants across the United States and Canada to the neighborhoods, those in need, again, employees as well. And in total, the grants were for $23.2 million. And this is after a disaster response. So, as many of us know, there's a lot of storms going on and a lot of hurricanes coming up soon. So that's definitely something to look out for. And then we're going to go over relations to business entities, so kind of going over why and how this article is related to these chapters. So a partnership is a pass-through entity. Now, basically, a pass-through entity that is that has a lot to do with the tax income, or with taxation, sorry. So this basically means that a partnership entity pays no level of corporate tax. So for example, their profits are taxed after being passed through and then they're distributed to individual partners. Now, basically, this is exactly why they're able to flourish and strive as two corporates as one because of these kinds of benefits. And then this is also an implied partnership. Basically, most aren't aware that most of these corporations are partnering, but they're still conjoined, and they definitely still bring a message across to those who care for the environment, want to save the environment, want to do anything in their way to stop their environment from, rotting or decomposing in a way due to these, toxic waste. And then lastly, they are two types of business entities. And again, their message is completely, persuaded to other corporations, other companies, other fast food chains, you name it, because they are two really, really big corporations. Now, we're going to go over the business entities, and basically for the business entities, we're going to go over five different business entities. We're also going to go over how there isn't equal protection across these business entities, believe it or not. And free speech is very limited. Advertisement is monitored, and typically, as of now, after a really long time of corporations and businesses being around, the Supreme Court is gradually increasing some laws going through. That way, advertising can be considered in a way under the First Amendment as of having free speech. So LLC and corporation, we're going to know the difference between those two. So individuality. So basically, LLC can be owned and liable from just one person. And basically, LLC, they also offer the benefits of an S corporation. As we had mentioned before, the S corporation is pass-through entities, meaning they do not get double taxed. And by double tax, meaning they get taxed from their, I'm sorry, I just gotta take a break first. And they get passed or taxed from their profits and then also taxed for their shareholders. you know, part or their cut is what they say in the business. So that's definitely something that being an LLC member, you don't have to go through. And then, as we mentioned before, shareholders, you were probably wondering what exactly that was, but typically shareholders are the owners of a corporation. They're the ones who invest, they're the ones who kind of make decisions, and we'll kind of go a little bit more over about that in just a little bit. But just think about it that a corporation typically has an invisible owner. It's basically I would say not an invisible owner, but they do have a word where it's basically a fictional person that basically does not have any principles or any, you know, anything of that sort or matter. Now, moving on forward, again, going over LLC incorporation, we probably are wondering what LLC, um, how they operate or how they manage. So they go over partnerships, or it is similar to partnerships. Everyone has a say in the group, and everyone is in charge. I'm not sure what this is showing like that, but basically right here it states that most companies they basically have specific representatives, or I'm sorry, all members are authorized representatives. I apologize, it's just a little bit mixed up right there. But then also we have manager managed LLC, and that's basically exactly what the name indicates. Either one person or a specific group of people, or a selected group of people, are in charge or responsible for the company's operations. Um, so moving on forward, most members do have authority to bind the business, but all in the non-managing members are typically investors who have a say and still manage the company. And then lastly, we have corporation benefits. So the shareholders are considered partial owners, but they do not operate or manage the company as we explained before. Most states have excuse me, most states have shareholder rights, and typically this is an ownership consent. So again, they don't operate it, they don't manage it, they don't actually work there. They are literally just owners from afar. And then also we have state statute, which gives shareholders the right to make a decision towards the company, which I just explained. So this is examples of fundamental changes, as in pursuing venture capital financing or issuing a bond. They basically have to approve for any changes in the structure of the corporation. That way the corporation can continue to flourish and pursue. So in conclusion, what one can take away from this is that the business has many different ways of operation, as we explained before. Even those who are individual owners can benefit from the same branch, very similar to bigger corporations, just like how we explained in McDonald's and Starbucks. Since they have partnered up to spread awareness for reducing waste, they also rely on a lot of benefits. Now, with these benefits come rules and laws, which is we explained. And this is exactly why protection is so predominant for not only corporations, but for other smaller, minimal business entities. Now that comes to our end of our presentation, and I do have my references right here. But yeah, thank you so much for